Here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to. Lots to talk about. The good news. Good news right out of the gate. Yep, some good news. The former guy, the last guy in the White House, he was scheduled to have a big press conference on January 6th. The idea being that Fox News could have the prayer vigil that they were going to have on the steps of the Capitol. They could have that on one side of the screen, and then on the other side, they could have Donald Trump bloviating about how, oh, woe is me, the election was stolen. The election was stolen. They thieved it from me. And I guess some folks said, hey, Donald, it might not be a great idea. I know how much you love to hold the Bible upside down. Might not be such a great idea to go on this childish rant, this temper tantrum screed, while the faithful are on their knees. Might be bad optics. Might be almost as bad optics as, I don't know, encouraging people to storm the Capitol. Might stir up some thoughts. Might get people thinking, hold on, wait. Maybe there's something to all of this talk of the coup and Trump being behind most of it. Maybe, just maybe, we might not want to hit that hornet's nest. So in a moment of, and I got to think that this is probably one of the very few moments in thought where he said, maybe somebody else is right and maybe he's not the boy wonder genius that he likes to think himself. Maybe he just, pulled back a little bit, pulled out. I know something that the Donald doesn't like to generally do, but they've canceled the big press conference that was going to happen down in Mar-a-Lago because, hey, let's have a press conference in the middle of the huge surge that's going on across the country. And, look, had he come out and said, look, for the good of the country, right now is not the right time to have my press conference because of, and he could have blamed Biden. He could have spun this in a much different way because Joe Biden is so screwed up the Omicron. I am now canceling my appearances. He could have taken the high road. He could have been a little smarter in this. Could have turned the attack back a little bit. This could have worked for him. But this, just going away. What was the official this is beautiful. The official statement, so Trumpian. I mean, it's kind of like, the kindergarten, maybe a little bit, maybe second grade. Give me your thoughts. I want to see it. He writes, in light of the total biases and dishonesty of the January 6th unselect committee of Democrats, two failed Republicans, and the fake news media, I am canceling the January 6th press conference at Mar-a-Lago on Thursday, and instead will discuss many of those important topics at my rally on Saturday, January 15th in Arizona. It will be a big crowd, the biggest ever, huge, enormous, tremendous. I kind of miss him as president with the nonsense words he uses. But yeah, this is the statement. And I got to go very presidential. The unselect committee. The failed Republicans. Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm glad he's gone. If we can only, maybe he'd go a little further away. But here's the thing, I do want to see him. I want to hear from Donald Trump. I do. I want to hear from him sitting in front of that unselect committee under oath to talk about what did he do on January 6th? What did he do into the lead up of January 6th? Why did it take him so long to respond? And in all those 25 tweets that he threw out on that day, could he have done something else that maybe would have saved a couple of police officers from being injured, maybe the lives of a couple more? just a thought. But hey, I'll take the small consolation of he's not going to be talking on the 6th. Now, you had some Republicans who thought it was a good idea for him to be out there, like Indiana Republican Jim Banks, who evidently was on with Laura Ingraham and said that he's looking forward to it. He's looking forward to Trump speaking. Trump has important things to say. I think we've heard all the important things. They stole from me. Kind of like a 2-year-old with the rattle. Just someone give him a pacifier, please. Also, our quote of the day from President Joe Biden, and I gotta love Joe's kind of Joeisms. He's talking about the Omicron virus, and he's trying to tap down some of the fears, some of the anxiety, and he said, "Be concerned about Omicron, but don't be alarmed. But if you're unvaccinated, you have some reason to be alarmed." And you go, yeah, Joe, they do. He said this is, a virus problem right now of the unvaccinated, and it is, which is why I find it so ironic that you have Ron Johnson running around, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. He was on one of our radio affiliates, WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, and he said, quote, "Why would we just automatically assume that our natural immunity is going to be awful? You would think that the default position would be if you've already had it, you ought to be pretty well protected. Why do we assume that the body's natural immune system isn't the marvel that it really is? Why do we think that we can create something better than God in terms of combating the disease?" He added that there are certain things we have to do, but we have just made so many assumptions and all pointed towards everyone getting vaccinated. And look, from the beginning, we were saying everyone get vaccinated. It's going to help keep people away from real sicknesses, which is what we're seeing. The people who are dying overwhelmingly, can't make this up, are people who have been unvaccinated. It's giving the body some help in fighting this stuff off. Nobody is saying, I've never said that it was going to give you immunity. I've never said that it was the end-all, be-all, cure-all. I've always said that our number one concern is not overloading our healthcare system to the point to where people who have other ailments end up dying, waiting to get treatment, which we are seeing. The fact that over the holiday weekend, on one day, we had 1 million new cases of COVID recorded. 1 million. When the previous record was 590, set just 4 days earlier. We are averaging well over 400,000 people a day. We're in land. The fact that in one day you had, 1.04 million cases, which is just mind-blowing. And that doesn't include the people who took home tests. We're averaging, what the numbers are is almost 500,000. I said 400. And those are only 44 of the 50 states reporting. As of this reporting from Bloomberg, you're looking at somewhere around almost 105,000 people in the hospital, almost 20,000 people in ICUs, and 1,909 people on this one day who have died. An average over a 7-day period of 1,343. But hey, the body's natural immunity. And as I was thinking of Ron Johnson's statement, I couldn't help but think about a friend that I knew years and years and years ago. A hyper-religious guy, one of these guys who went to one of these churches where they reach into boxes and pick up snakes. Maybe you've heard of such a thing. I had not. I thought it was kind of a joke. I remember learning about it in the Bible, the handling of the snakes and all this stuff. I didn't know there were actually people who today practice this stuff. And yet, oh yes, there are, Rick. There are tons of them. And this guy was one of those people. And he was, telling the story of how he had reached into the box and the snake bit him. And I'm like, well, why are you here? If you reached into a box of venomous, poisonous, deadly snakes, why are you still here? And I was, kind of, thinking, maybe this was some religious experience that God, had, had forgiven him, and God had spared him his life, and he was able to fight it off because natural immunity. Remember, maybe somewhere in his body he had a natural immunity to snake venom. I did not know. So I asked the question. I go, well, why are you still here? And he said, well, we've got the anti-venom in the back. And I'm going, whoa, wait a second. Hold on. If the whole point of reaching into the box and grabbing the snake is to test God's will by either being bitten or not bitten, are you not usurping God's will by living because clearly he wanted you to die by you being bitten according to your logic? And he's, no. God doesn't want us to die, because if he did, he wouldn't have given us the ability to come up with the antivenom, the thing to help keep you alive. So, I'm thinking of this in the Ron Johnson world, because this was perfectly sane to my religious friend years ago who said, no, of course I can usurp God's will to not die by having science create this shot that's going to save my life, after I was dumb enough to reach into a box of poisonous snakes, testing God's will and fate. And because he made people smart enough, obviously smarter than him, to make this wonderful cocktail of whatever that saved his life. And yet Ron Johnson wants us to believe that no. God doesn't want us to have smart people who figure out how to help our immune system to not end up in the ICU and end up dead. It's a weird kind of world we're in, especially when you're dealing with people in their twisted faith and whatever view of religion they have, which is always scary. I deal with what's in front of us, how we deal with where we can go. And all along, the common sense has been, stay away from each other as much as you can, wear the masks, be respectful of others, socially distance, wash your hands, do those things that are common sense. I was never somebody who said, hole up and barricade yourself under blankets. But, common sense, which seems to be lost, because right now, and this was predictable. This was predictable months ago. You're going to have a huge surge right after the holiday. And guess what? In a couple of months, spring break, can have another big one. Which is why I find it ironic that the states who said, no, we're going to do the natural herd immunity stuff, the Floridas and the Texas, they're now skyrocketing, now looking to the federal government, as in Texas, help bail us out. Now in Florida, they're just blaming Joe Biden for the virus. While I guess DeSantis was off doing whatever he was doing. I hope he was with his wife, as has been reported. But that's why you have a lieutenant governor, someone to step in and actually do work, instead of just going, well, God's going to do what he wants to do. And I'll tell you, from someone in elected office, that's frightful. I want somebody who's going to be a little bit more proactive. And again, the reason we're seeing what we're seeing in front of us, because of these people. Now I look at Maryland. Their Republican governor, Larry Hogan, he has issued a temporary state of emergency saying, our hospitals are filling up, basically citing what I just said. We cannot blow out our healthcare system. We haven't built enough. And I had a caller over the weekend who said, well, we need to be building more hospitals. I'm like, I agree, we should be building more hospitals. But the more I now think about it, the more I go, well, hold on a second. If we build more hospitals, that's great, but we haven't trained enough people to be doctors and nurses yet. We're already struggling with the ones we've got. Maybe ramp that up too. But we're sending out the National Guard. I guess that's a good thing. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but we're sending out the National Guard, and they're going to help. Now I look at Florida, where the Omicron variant has risen 948% in just 2 weeks. And somehow that's Joe Biden's fault. And as Joe Biden said today, let me be absolutely clear, we have in hand all the vaccines we need to get every American fully vaccinated, including booster shots, he said. So there's no excuse for anyone being unvaccinated. This continues to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And that's true. And this is where I've finally come to this place where I'm no longer trying to convince anyone that it's in their best interest to get vaccinated. I've stopped. It's no longer my responsibility. It's no longer my job. It's no longer my hope that they will. We're going to lose some folks along the way, and that's their choice. They have made their choice. And the Ron Johnsons of the world and the left behind crowd who can't wait to meet the face of Jesus and all of that, don't wait for us. This is where I've been for a while now. If you don't want to do this, great, move along. The problem with this thinking, and this is where I'm struggling still, is that what's next? If we allow this thing to run rampant like it is right now, what does it mutate into? What comes next? How long are we stuck with this? Because we have a percentage, about a third of the country, mind you, about a third of the country that's recalcitrant, that somehow, the Cracker Jack box epidemiology degree that they got is what they're claiming gave them the knowledge that it's all bad, that they're doused in the blood of Jesus. I've heard that too, that they're the ones holding everybody else back. And I can't help but think, go back, a couple of decades. What would have happened if you'd have had this kind of massive group of people, a large percentage of our country, say, no, you're not going to take the polio vaccine. No, we're not going to take the chicken pox or the mumps or the measles or any of those. Not taking any of them. We'd still have people dying from those diseases. And it's frustrating on so many levels. And yet there's so much misinformation out there. And it's angering. Because when the crowd that Donald Trump loves the most, the poorly educated, when they don't believe reality, when they are taught to despise the well-educated, the professionals, we end up in this spot where they don't believe anything. And that's bad for all of us. So, my view, as President Biden said, get vaccinated. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for not getting vaccinated. Do it, or, well, better luck next time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. I'm going to take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk. I'm Rick Smith, and this